Happy 420. I'm Kai.
And I'm Queen Reefer, and you're watching
Stone Cold Murder. Just a PSA, if you have any information that can help solve a crime, go to crimestoppers.com to report any information anonymously.
This podcast contains material that might not be suitable for all audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello and welcome back to Stone Cold Murder. Thanks for joining us for Season 3, Episode 5. How are you today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I have that stupid song stuck in my head, and it's not gonna...
Which one?
How long was the bet, man?
You started it.
I know, but that's all I could think of. Especially as soon as Matt counted down, it was like, meow, meow, meow.
Oh, man. Yeah. I've, unfortunately, these poor guys have been singing meow, 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 meow all day. So,
yeah. So as you can see, we decorated for the holidays.
Christmas.
Jingle bells and whatnot.
But yeah, it's so cute.
He's so cute.
Move out of the way a little bit. Let's show them. Cute.
Adorable.
Love it.
We hope you love it too. Also, I want to know this in the comments. Queen Reefer and I were discussing it before we started recording. The song that we were discussing. Now I can't remember what song it was.
Oh, I'll be home for Christmas.
Oh, yeah. I'll be home for Christmas. You can
Blank
on me. What is the word that goes there?
Fill in the blank.
And do you know it as different? Like, do you know it as two different versions? Or is it one thing that you know it as? Because I'm confused. Don't look up the lyrics before you comment either. I want you to comment authentically.
Yeah.
I'll be home for Christmas. You can. Let me know. Because I have to know.
Yeah. It's like a Mandela
effect.
A Mandela Dumb big ears.
A Mandela. No, I can't say
no,
it.
what?
Holy shit.
Mandala.
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 Yeah. Mandala.
Mandala lolo.
Anyways, the Mandela effect thing. You know, that thing. Funny little thing. Yep. All right. Well, as you can see, I am stoned. Maybe you can see. Hopefully here. I don't know. Hopefully you guys are too, because we're about to get this started. Ready?
Hey, before you go, dap me up. Do you know how to dap?
Why were you squishing my hand so much?
She said.
That's what you did.
Dap me up. That's like my obsession right now is dapping people up.
Oh? Since when?
I don't know. I just randomly one day was like, yo, dap me up. And then now I'm just...
You're just dapping everybody up.
Dapper.
Do you do that at work?
No.
Oh. I think you should start it at work.
My coworkers would be like, what are you doing?
I know. And that's why I think
they
you
don't
should
know
start
what
it
rip
at work.
is. They're not going to know what dap me up means.
Exactly why you should do it.
Yeah, okay, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also obsessed with saying gang gang right now.
Gang gang.
In an Australian accent. Anyway.
In an Australian accent?
Gang gang. Sorry, that was really...
Oh, I'm gonna pass out.
I can't do it on command. Nori. Oh, Nori. Anyway.
Okay. Are you ready?
Yeah, we need to put a counter for every time I say. I forgot the word.
We don't know what's happening anymore, I don't think.
I smoked.
I smoked.
I smoked.
Same.
I had an
Matt,
itch.
please clip that.
I had an itch. Yeah, sorry. Literally, this is why I don't smoke, because my intrusive thoughts are just in here. Bite the mic.
Do
I just can't hold it. Okay, I'm ready.
You guys are in for a treat. Maybe you guys should also take this time to go load you a bowl and smoke a dab. Get your snacks together. Yeah? What?
Together.
Are you ready? Jingle balls.
Guess I'm ready.
Okay. Try not to jiggle it. Immediately jingles it.
Can you even hear the bell?
Oh, I'm sure you can.
Okay.
I'm positive you can. She said okay. Our story starts out on December 23rd, 1974. 3 girls, Mary, Lisa, and Julie, were heading to do some last-minute Christmas shopping before the holiday. This day already started very exciting for Lisa, who actually went by Renee. That morning, Renee's boyfriend Terry had woken her up early and gave her a promise ring, pledging his love to her forever.
Aww.
So she was super excited already. And the two were going to a Christmas party that evening together. And she was really excited to go show off the ring to all of her family and friends that evening. During all of this excitement, she got a phone call from Rachel. And Rachel called to ask to see if she wanted to go shopping. But Renee was a little bit hesitant at first because she had already had plans to go to that party that evening. But she eventually gave in on the promise that they would be back by 4 p.m. that day so that she could get ready for the party. Rachel was a little older than Renee. She was 17, in high school, and she was already married to her husband Tommy at the time.
Dang.
Yes. 74.
Married?
Different times.
I guess that's true. Like, that's probably like around the age that like most people back then get married at. It was like 17, 18.
Yeah. It was great. 17.
First kid by like 20.
Yeah. And in high school still. So, I don't know. That's wild to me. Could you imagine being married in high school?
Good thing I wasn't.
Be so for real right now.
Be so for real if that was me.
She said, good thing I wasn't.
I
Yeah,
would be
I gave
like-
her trauma just now.
I have PTSD.
Yeah, I just gave that to you. I'm sorry.
Ugh.
I won't ask again.
No, it couldn't be me.
No, it couldn't be you. Thank God. She was married at the time. Her husband's name was Tommy, and despite the age gap, the girls were still pretty close friends. 14 and 17, I guess, aren't super big of an age gap, but it kind of is at the same time.
It's not a big age gap, except in that age group, if that makes sense.
True. Yeah.
So if you're like you're in your 20s and one's like 24 and one's like 27,
yeah.
like that's not big of a difference, but 14 to 17, like
Yeah.
the maturity level at that age is like a lot different, I feel like.
Yeah. So that was like an interesting dynamic already, but I don't know how like good friends they were or if they were just like acquaintances or what, but they decided to go shopping. Renee did ask her boyfriend Terry if he would like to tag along with them, but he had already made plans to spend times with a friend who was sick, so he could not go shopping with them that day. Terry, however, had a little sister whose name was Julie. She was 9, and she asked if she could go with the older girls to the mall to go shopping. So we have A friend group of very
different
age
ages.
group, yes.
Yeah.
The girls did say that Julie could come along, but only if she asked her mom for permission. Julie's mom said no at first, but of course, after Julie begged and begged her mom to go, she eventually gave in as long as she was home by 6, which I already said that they were planning on being home by 4, so the 6 o'clock deadline was not an issue for them. With Julie's mom's consent, the girls piled into Rachel's 72 Oldsmobile 98, which is a cool car. I looked it up.
Insert picture here.
Yeah. And they piled in her car a little before noon. The girls set off to a surplus store in Fort Worth to pick up some items that were in layaway that Renee had waiting for her to pick up. They went to the Army surplus store first, which is very Texas of them.
This ain't Texas. Ain't no hold'em.
Woo! So from there, they headed to Seminary South Shopping Center, located in Fort Worth, Texas. Now, as you can imagine, the mall is filled with last-minute shoppers, people bustling around trying to get those last-minute gifts. Very busy in the mall, which truly sounds like hell on earth to me personally.
Mm-hmm.
Like, fuck that
That's
shit.
like also part of the reason why I am a Grinch and I don't really enjoy Christmas too much. Is just like how busy everything is. Mm-hmm. Like at the mall and stores. People acting a fool. Like, miss me with that.
Dude, I can't do it. I hate it. But
our Christmas decorations are cute.
Yeah, I guess for teenagers, it's not the worst place to be, I suppose. So they were there in this crowded mall, and this is where they would spend most of that day. And there were several people who saw the girls that day as they shopped, but when the girls missed that 4 p.m. deadline that they had originally promised their families became worried. And eventually they ended up driving down to the shopping center to look for them. So the families arrived at the mall around 6 p.m. that night and began searching for them. And they thought they got lucky when they found Rachel's Oldsmobile in the Sears parking lot. But when they approached the vehicle, they knew that something was wrong. It looked like the girls had indeed gone shopping and made it back to the vehicle because they did have bags that were left inside the car from shopping at that mall. But there was absolutely no trace of the girls whatsoever.
Did it look like the car was
it didn't look disturbed or anything.
Like
so
it
that's
was just sitting there with bags?
Yeah, it looked like they had maybe even placed their bags into the vehicle and shut it because they saw someone that they knew. That's my theory, honestly. Is that it was more of instead of being spooked or startled upon, it was they were getting into the car and they knew someone and they just got distracted. You know what I mean? But let me finish the rest of the story so you can decide for yourself. The police were immediately contacted and the girls were reported missing. The case was handed over to the Missing Persons Bureau, and it was actually treated as a routine case of 3 runaway girls.
Routine case?
Of runaway girls. Which I think is crazy because I don't think any girls leaving their stuff that they just bought behind, for one. Not a teenage girl.
Yeah, and especially their car. If they were going to run away, you would think they would, get in the car and go, not by foot.
Yeah.
Unless, the only thing I could think of is, unless they absolutely wanted no trace of them. A car's kind of, easy to spot. If someone, but...
And it's weird because, if you use the defense that they run away, there's no reason for them to go Christmas shopping.
Yeah, and why would they leave all the stuff that they just bought in the car?
It doesn't make sense. In my opinion, there's more than enough evidence to point that this is not a routine runaway case. But I'm not a cop, so...
Red flag.
Yeah, I won't pretend that I know. But regardless of what I think, this was treated as a runaway case, and it wasn't investigated as a missing persons case. So therefore, they didn't have an Amber Alert. There wasn't people looking for suspicious activity or 3 girls or any of this stuff.
Did it ever move over to a missing case report?
It does eventually, but not till it's too late.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, at that point, it might be too late, but at least, like, it could maybe, like, I mean, you never know. It might help the situation if they do put it out.
Yeah. I think it's something crazy, like, especially with children, if you go 24 hours without having any information, it's pretty much a done deal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, there are rare cases where someone is kidnapped and then years later they're found. But like,
that's not very often.
Yeah, like the Ariel Castro motherfucker who kidnapped all those girls. Like, that does happen every once in a while, but
like more often it's like
it's usually a murder investigation rather than a kidnapping. And this smoke break is brought to you by Meow 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 Meow. Meow 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 Meow. And we're back from our smoke break. So before the smoke break, we were talking about the case being turned into a runaway case opposed to a missing persons. Mm-hmm. All right, so the next day, Rachel's husband, Tommy, received a strange letter in the mail, and it was addressed to Thomas A. Trlica and said, "I know I'm going to catch it, but we had to get away. We're going to Houston. See you in about a week. The car is in the Sears upper lot. Love, Rachel." How do you feel about that?
Sussy.
Right?
Someone else wrote that for them to like not make them worried.
Right. I know I'm going to catch it. Okay. Anyways.
Was it a like written out letter or a typed out letter?
It was a written letter.
So did it look like her handwriting?
Well, I'll get into that.
Oh.
The letter was signed by Rachel, but no one could say for certain that actually Rachel wrote it. It is noted that Deborah, who's Rachel's sister, was at Tommy's house when he found the letter. Now, you may be saying, okay, Kai, why is this important to note? And I want to tell you a little bit of tea that I found out while I was researching this, okay?
I'm ready for the tea.
Are you? Okay. Apparently, Deborah and Tommy had been engaged before him and Rachel were married.
Wait, which was
Rachel's sister.
Rachel's sister?
Uh-huh.
What?
They were both engaged to the same man, but she says that their relationship was not serious.
How can it not be serious if you're engaged?
That's why I said,
Oh.
So their relationship wasn't serious, and once they broke things off, Rachel began to see him. And then soon after, the two were married in 1974.
Could you?
No, dude. When I was writing this, I was like, no. Either way, no.
Can you imagine dating your sister's ex?
No, that feels like you can't go out and meet someone on your own. So you say, well, I know him. Like, what?
I could never.
Dude. So Rachel moved out of the family home, the Arnold family home, and then ended up living with Tommy because they were married, obviously. And Deborah had been arguing with her then boyfriend at the same time that Tommy and Rachel got married, and about the same time that they disappeared. And she was actually temporarily living with Rachel and Tommy in December of 1974. So it was Rachel, Deborah, and Tommy all in the same house living together. Which, I guess your sisters, of course you're going to let your sister stay with you, but...
Yeah. Seems a little weird.
Yeah. Both Deborah and Tommy said that their romantic relationship was completely over by that time, and it was not uncomfortable having all three of them living in the same home. So, to each their own, I suppose. Rachel had actually asked Deborah to come shopping with them December 23rd, but Deborah decided to stay home and stay in bed that day instead. Now, I want you to process all that. And I know that some of this shit happens, but it's kind of strange to me. Like, I know that these scenarios happen, but it just seems strange.
Well, okay, so you mentioned earlier about Deborah was there at the time Tommy found the letter, but wouldn't that make sense if she was living with them?
It doesn't make sense.
So that one's not too crazy.
No. I suppose not.
Unless I'm missing something.
No. It's not inherently strange, but it can be.
Yeah.
If you're, like, implicated in things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's just an easy way out, I guess.
Yeah.
So over the years, handwriting experts, including ones in the FBI, have analyzed the letter several times, and each analyst comes back with it being inconclusive as to being Rachel's handwriting, so nobody can really tell. But the families felt like the letter was not from Rachel, or if it was, that it had been written under distress. And for one, the letter itself was written to Thomas A. Trlica, but everybody that knew him called him Tommy, including his wife.
Yeah, so why switch it up now and
So yeah,
his full name?
So nobody, especially Rachel, would have called him Thomas, especially the full name. She wouldn't have wrote Thomas A. Trlica or whatever.
And is that a thing you have to do when you handwrite mail? Of like put their full name?
It's formal to do so.
Yeah.
It is formal, but in a letter like that, why?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
I didn't know if it had to. I mean, I just didn't know if it had to, like, on the front.
Yeah.
In case there was, like, a send back. Yeah.
Yeah. The family also felt like the Rachel that was initially written on the letter was actually misspelled originally, and that it was actually, like, traced over. And it appeared that the final I in her name was actually an E and was traced over to make it a tall I instead.
Weird.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the handwriting of, like, her signature would make sense if someone, like, wrote it out. But what about the rest of the letter? Like, because I feel like if I got a letter from you,
yeah,
I could, like, definitely determine, like, this is Kai's handwriting.
Right.
Or, like, vice versa with anybody else.
Yeah.
That I'm close with. Like, it could be, like, that's her handwriting.
Yeah.
Unless they just found, like, a whole bunch of writings from her and, like, just traced it.
Which could happen. Especially like if it was someone close to you.
True. Or that knew your handwriting.
Or knew your handwriting in any way. Like, that can happen, but...
And maybe that's why it's, like, inconclusive.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's, like, couldn't really... kind of close enough, but not, like, completely.
Yeah. And I think we talked about it in a couple episodes back about the handwriting thing, how it's... Or, no, we were talking about someone's walk. And I brought out how handwriting is kind of the same thing. Like, it's a shot in the dark if you can actually compare it to someone's handwriting. Because... people can copy it, so you can never really be for certain.
Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just, like, bad at handwriting, but I feel like I wouldn't be able to copy it that well without something to trace.
Yeah, true. Some people can, though.
That's crazy, yeah.
Right.
Anyway.
Another little note to think about is that the letter was written on a sheet of paper that was actually wider than the envelope. So it had to be folded a bunch of different times to fit in there. And that it had been started in pen and finished in pencil.
Oh.
So, just two strange things. Tommy had picked it up from the mailbox the morning of December 24th and believes that the letter was sealed, but he couldn't really remember if it was or not. He remembers that it was the only thing in the mailbox that day and that the stamp had been canceled that morning. So that means it was stamped over, so you can't use it again, meaning that it was delivered that morning. Despite their belief that the letter was not from Rachel, all three families just kind of waited around very anxiously to just see if any of them would show up after a week, you know, since they said they were only going to be gone for a week. But the week came and gone without any sign from any of the girls. And the family became more and more weary and concerned, obviously, as the girls didn't return for their safety, you know? Weeks turned into months with no signs of the girls at all, which sucks. Early on in the case, a store clerk came forth stating that an elderly customer had told her that she had seen 3 girls being forced into a yellow pickup truck. But unfortunately, this customer was never able to be tracked down so that they could speak to her further. So that went nowhere. What? What's wrong?
Why in that moment? Okay.
I know.
Why in that moment would you just like be like, brush it off? Why wouldn't you be like, something ain't right. Someone's forcefully making these 3 very young girls get into a truck
that is
against their will.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you do something about it? And as the store clerk, why also wouldn't you like ask questions?
Bystander effect. That happens too much. That's why I laugh when people are like, well, nowadays people will just record on their phone and da-da-da-da. No, not nowadays. This has always happened. We just didn't have phones to record it with first. Before, people would just see something happen and they'd say, and walk away. That happens all the time. They say, oh, well, someone else will take care of it. Someone else will call the cops. Someone else will stop them. Someone else will pick up that dog that's running out in the middle of the street. But guess what? Most people don't. And nowadays we have cell phones, so they won't do anything except keep it for later laugh ha-has.
Or views. That's so, like, okay.
Yeah, it's an overwhelming phenomenon that happens with people.
I could see like a dog or an accident, you know, because like whatever, right? Like I personally wouldn't,
Yeah.
But I could see that. But for someone like to visibly like getting forcefully put into a car,
yeah, people do it screams or gunshots even.
Crazy.
Yeah. It's fucking crazy. And maybe this was her being like, well, I told the store clerk. To her defense, she was an old lady, so maybe she couldn't do much, but...
I know, but like, even if you can't do much, like, at least just giving that information right then and there.
Mm-hmm.
Because then people could start looking for a yellow pickup.
Exactly.
Ugh. Anyway, sorry, my mind when you said that.
I know, it's crazy.
Like, what?
Another witness claims that he saw the girl sitting in a security patrol vehicle, but this tip also went nowhere. 2 people reporting that they saw the girls getting into a vehicle, though. So,
but it's weird. One was like a yellow pickup and one was a patrol car.
Yeah. Which maybe she you know, often witnesses are very unreliable, especially color, make of vehicles and things like that. It's often wrong.
Yeah.
You know, so maybe she saw flashing lights from a security patrol vehicle that made it look yellow.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you never know, or maybe she was just flustered in the moment and had no fucking idea, because that happens quite often.
That would almost like, I mean, they couldn't like obviously track her down to talk to her about it, but maybe she just like vaguely told the store clerk like it was yellow because of the lights.
Mm-hmm. And he said
that would make sense of why they maybe were forcefully put into the pickup car, like if they were getting arrested of some kind.
Mm-hmm. That would make sense. But regardless, all of these tips that were coming forward were taking them to no place, no avail, no finding these girls, no traces of them whatsoever.
I obviously, like, I know it ended up leading them nowhere, but did, like, when you were doing your research, did it talk about, like, the police going to the mall and, like, talking to their security? It didn't give any of that?
No, because the police themselves treated this as a runaway case. True. The families were unfortunately the ones having to do a lot of the investigation themselves, which...
That's unfortunate. Yeah, you know, like,
Yeah.
you would think in, like, any other case, if this was a witness saying, like, I saw them get into a patrol vehicle, a security patrol vehicle, you would go to, like, that mall that they were at and ask security.
It could have been that easy. Could have. But.
Or maybe they did and they didn't have any record of it back then.
I have a part that you'll be like, oh.
Okay.
Yeah, when I get to it.
They just didn't treat it well. Okay.
No, they didn't.
Copy.
They decided not to do it. In the spring of 1975, the families were rightfully frustrated by the police lack of investigation, completely kind of just ignoring the case and deciding that they weren't going to look into it. So they made the decision to hire a private investigator named John Sweam. In 1976, fragments of human bones were found in Alvin, but the bones came back inconclusive. 6 years later, bigger pieces of bone fragments, including a lower leg bone, were found in the same location, which ended up launching a massive search in the area. But the remains turned out to be those of 3 girls, but not the 3 girls who had disappeared from Fort Worth. And after this discovery, there was no more significant leads that came forth in this case. And it started to turn very fucking cold. Yeah, 3 different girls. 3 other girls. What are the fucking chances of that?
Was there any other, like, reports of, like, other girls going missing?
Now, it's a whole different other case with those girls.
Okay. So they, like, figured out who they actually were? Like, the identity of those girls?
Yeah.
Huh.
But they were not the girls that they were looking for in this case.
And they don't think it correlates at all to the other case?
Nah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Right?
Okay. Well, at least, like, those girls got some justice.
Yeah.
In this all.
But it's a weird coinky-dink for sure.
Yeah.
So John, who was that private investigator that the families had hired, received an anonymous tip that the girls' remains could be found near Port La Vaca. 100 volunteers searched the boggy area, but came up with nothing. Surprise, surprise. So nothing happened there. And then a few years later, John actually committed suicide in 1979 by drug overdose. And this is where it gets really fucking weird, because Renee's mother tried to collect the pictures of her daughter from his records that she had given to him. And she learned that all of his records had been burned in what was apparently his very last request.
What? Wait.
Yeah, he burned all of his fucking records. Weird, right?
Do you think he, like, found who it was? And then that person, in turn...
I have no idea.
Staged his suicide?
I have no idea. I just know it's fucking weird.
You can go 2 ways with this, and that's really weird. Either A, someone staged it to make him look like it. Like, he knew he got him, right? The investigator found the guy or girl or whoever, did this, and then they staged it. Or he did?
Yeah. He either found something he didn't want to know, couldn't live with it, or had something to do with it, or it had nothing to do with this investigation at all. But the fact that he had all of his records burned, especially when you have photos of someone's children.
Was it just that one specific case that
it was all of his cases?
Oh, that makes it a little different. Okay.
Still.
I thought it was just that specific case, but still, yeah.
It's weird.
That is weird.
Yeah. I'm not saying he's hiding anything, but, like, why? You know what I mean? It's why. It's weird.
No, that is definitely weird.
Yeah. And that's where we're going to take our second smoke break.
This smoke break is brought to you by Yum, 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 Yum.
And we're back from our smoke break. In 1979, a psychic called from Hawaii and said that the girls' remains could be found in an oil well. So the police focused on an area called Rising Star that was just outside of Abilene. But of course, nothing was found of any kind of significance or anything even remotely related to this case. Nothing.
Yeah. I mean, that's like...
Obviously, a psychic, most of us would say, well, that's nothing. But it does happen in a lot of these cases where there's absolutely nothing to go on and they're kind of finally like, we'll fucking try it.
Might as well. I mean, it's already a no, right?
Right. You might as well try it.
Might as well.
If they're right, then maybe they also have something to do with it, or they are psychic. Who knows? Sometimes when they're desperate, they do go down that route. So unfortunately, they had nothing of significance to offer them. Rusty was only 11 years old on the day his sister disappeared, but he has dedicated his entire life towards solving this case. In 1995, Rusty Arnold, Rachel's younger brother, made contact with a new private investigator, Dan Jones. Jones was actually familiar with this case, and he put up $25,000 reward out of his own pocket for information leading to an arrest or conviction of the persons involved in the disappearance.
Aww.
Yeah, which is awesome. Like, that's really fucking cool. You don't see that a lot.
Yeah.
He was never actually officially hired by the family. He did everything completely free, pro bono for the family, just to try and get this case solved.
Yeah.
But him and Rusty continued to investigate this case out of their own personal interest, basically, into getting it solved. In 2000, Deborah, who is the sister, spoke with Fort Worth Star-Telegram and discussed how she knew Rusty blamed her for Rachel's disappearance, which is an interesting thing to say to just random people. A few days later, a different letter was published by Rusty and some of the parents of the other missing girls. This letter read, "Dear Deborah, we read your statement in the Fort Worth Star-Telegram on January 9th, 2000. You indicated you had nothing to hide. If your statement is true, we beg and plead with you to fully cooperate with the Fort Worth Police Department and the FBI. Please complete the polygraph test and answer all the questions. Deborah, please keep in mind you also have a sister missing. Respectfully, Renee Moseley, Rusty Arnold, Julie Wilson, and Richard Wilson."
Interesting. So that kind of just goes back to the theory.
The only signatures that were missing was from Rusty and Rachel and Deborah's mother, Fran. She believed that Dan Jones poisoned Rusty's mind and destroyed what remained of her family by turning Rusty and Deborah against each other. So Fran and Rusty did not speak for years because of this. Which is crazy. I'm not saying that Deborah had anything to do with it. I'm just saying, if my little sister went missing, you best believe I would do everything in my power to cooperate with making sure things move forward. It seems like that is not the case. Because nobody's writing this kind of letter to someone who's cooperating.
Yeah. And it seems like very just like targeted at her.
Yeah.
Of like, they don't believe she's telling the truth.
They don't believe it at all whatsoever.
And that like almost goes back to the theory too of when we were talking at the beginning of you saying it seemed like the girls knew.
That who knew who it was. Yeah.
Oh.
So in 2009, Deborah actually posted on this web sleuth forum regarding this case. She revealed that she had actually undergone multiple polygraph tests, which showed that she had nothing to do with it, which polygraph tests, I don't know, pish posh. I don't really think we can go off that, but
yeah.
She stated that she believes Rusty's confusion and paranoia stemmed from years of substance abuse, which I saw nothing in my research that he had anything to do with any drugs or alcohol or anything, but
and like it wasn't just Rusty either. It was a lot of the other parents.
Right.
So if that was the case, that doesn't even check out or make sense.
I know.
Of like why the other parents were saying that as well. So obviously there's something that a couple different people are saying that they're like, something doesn't really add up here.
Yeah. There's a lot of really very different family dynamics going on here that are just interesting.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, and I'm sure everybody else is, like, what led him to this conclusion in the first place, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it was kind of like where we were, where it was just like, yeah, I mean, seems a little strange. Maybe she's a little jealous. I don't know.
Or maybe there was more to it.
Yeah.
But aren't those like the types of like, it's so easy sitting here now after the fact, but aren't those like the questions like you would think people would ask?
Yeah.
Like when they're giving out the statement, well, what makes you think that?
Right.
Do you have any like evidence or anything like out of the ordinary that stands out?
Has to be something. Right. And I want to know if her and Tommy got together after.
Yeah,
the
that's
fact.
what I was like.
But
also
I couldn't
thinking.
Find anything. Like I couldn't find it.
That's
but
what
I'm
I was
really curious about that.
That's what I was gonna ask too. Mm-hmm. Like if their relationship changed after the fact, or if she was still living with them.
Right. That would be like a huge piece.
Maybe that was one of the things.
It could be, and maybe they're just hiding it, keeping it close to the chest. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In 2001, the case was reopened and assigned to a homicide detective named Tom Bochner. Finally, this case was actually picked up as a missing persons case because it had not been this whole time.
2001.
1974 is when this happened.
That's insane.
Runaways.
For that long is crazy.
Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, no significant leads had ever come from reopening the investigation. Bochner made a statement saying that he believes that the girls left with someone that they had trusted.
Mm-hmm.
Additionally, he believes that more than one individual was involved with the abduction. The police did not speculate on whether they thought the girls were alive or dead, but Bochner revealed that that detectives had written over 150 letters to different coroners in 5 different states to inquire about any unidentified female remains found since 1974, just to see if they could connect any of those bodies to the girls. He also claimed that the Fort Worth detectives had narrowed the number of suspects to just under 5, which I think is pretty significant.
Mm-hmm. Does it say who they are?
No, it does not.
Oh, I was ready for the tea.
I know. They're not going to give that tea until they know for sure, unfortunately. Bill Hutchins is a retired Fort Worth police officer who was working security at Sears on the day that the girls disappeared. And according to him, he had seen the girls in a pickup truck of a young security guard. They were laughing, and they did appear to be quite at ease with this security guard, which is interesting because that is the 3rd tip that they got about those girls being in a pickup truck.
Yeah.
2 of which were the security guard.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting to me. Hutchins phoned the tip in when he heard about the girl's disappearance, but he claimed that the police never reached out to him for further information.
Mm-hmm.
And he assumed that the case must have been solved, and he was obviously very, 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 very shocked when the police did reach out to him in 2001 to follow up with his fucking tip.
Wow. Yeah, no, that's absolutely insane.
2001. So when you said earlier about the police following up on the security guard, and I was like, well, yeah, they kind of did. That's what I meant.
But after it was to a different department, it took a hands of a different department, a whole different squad to do it. That's insane. Mm-hmm. Even, okay, let's, like, this should just be, like, protocol. It should just be basic protocol. Even if you think it is a runaway case, you should still have to follow these protocols.
Yeah. Same with, like, doing an autopsy. You always should do an autopsy on a body. Like, things like that. Day 1 things that you shouldn't be missing.
Mm-hmm.
But some people just want to solve these cases or chalk it up to whatever the fuck, and then we end up with things like this. Apparently, the security guard was interviewed and identified, but he denied seeing the girls that day. And nothing.
Just denies it, and they're like, oh, okay.
Nothing.
Even though we had 3 witnesses say,
Yep, nothing happened.
Sick.
Yeah. As of 2001, Dan and Rusty believed that only Rachel was alive, which I thought was interesting. And they believe that she visits Fort Worth area every Christmas. And this is based on like credible witnesses who apparently saw Rachel in 1998 around Christmas time. I think that's really weird that both Dan and Rusty think that.
That is so weird.
Isn't it?
Wait, but if that was...
I know. Well, we won't know why Dan or Rusty think this because they're completely unwilling to discuss the theory.
Oh.
Beyond just stating that someone close to them and someone that was close to the girls was involved with the disappearance. That's all they'll say.
Wait, say that again?
They said that they're not willing to discuss it beyond that. Someone close to them and someone that was close to the girls was involved with their disappearance.
Someone that was close to them was involved in the...
Correct.
Wait.
Correct.
Because no, then that makes, like... I'm not going to say this is for sure.
I know.
But this makes so much sense.
I know, and it's sad. Like, I don't want it to... And we don't know that it is. But, like... You jealous bitch. If that's what happened... Fucking jealous ass bitch. That's all I can say.
It is crazy that they say only Rachel is alive.
I know, like how...
So what if the, like... Ugh.
I know. This one's frustrating as fuck.
It's so frustrating because I feel like it's like right there.
Mm-hmm. So over the years, Rusty's been doing quite a bit of research, trying to trace down any type of information he can find about this case. His search did lead him to Benbrook Lake, which is 8 miles from the mall, which is nearby a quote-unquote person of interest house. Rusty set his sight on 3 cars that were in the bottom of that lake. He felt that maybe those cars could have clues in them that would maybe help the case. So he privately funded a diving team on September 22nd of 2018.
Oh, wow.
To go in there and pull the cars out. The first car that was pulled to the surface was on that day. And then a few weeks later, on October 13th, the second car was pulled up. And neither of these cars had any type of information that he was looking for or that could help the case.
You said there was only 2 or there was 3 cars?
There's 3 in total, but those
But
2...
they only pulled up 2?
Mm-hmm. Due to flooding, the diving team was not able to pull the third car up until September 16th. Of 2019, so a whole year later. Mm-hmm. When they dove to the bottom of the lake, they found that the car was deteriorating pretty bad and that even the slightest touch made it fall apart.
Oh, wow.
So this car was unfortunately deemed too dangerous to pull out of the lake. So instead of pull the car out, the team decided to take the search down to the bottom of the lake. And on July 17th of 2020, so another year later, Rusty and a member of his team dove to the bottom of Benbrook Lake and searched that car that was on the bottom. Again, no evidence was found, which of course was very disappointing for Rusty and the team. But he did admit that there was little to no chance that these cars even had any connection to his sister's disappearance. But he wanted to try regardless.
Yeah, I mean, might as well try.
Yeah.
Especially if you have, like, nothing.
And he said that him and his team did identify other lakes of interest and hoped that maybe they could do the same thing with those lakes eventually and repeat the process.
So is that, like, a theory of, like, they think the car?
I think so. Well,
I wonder where that
this
came
lake
into play.
was so close to that person of interest house. I wonder if they thought maybe they just dumped a car in the lake or whatever. Clearly, there's something there that makes him think that it would be in the water. Or maybe that was a tip from I don't know. It doesn't say a lot of reasoning as to why, but I would assume that he has reason.
Yeah.
And if not, maybe he's just pulling at any card he can think of, you know? Which is a dedicated brother.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, other than that, this case of the Fort Worth trio remains unsolved to this day. What are your thoughts on this one?
I think, now this is just my theory, but I think, like, I've been piecing it together a little bit throughout the episode. I've been, like, saying some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that it was Deborah and Tommy.
I think they, at the very least, have more information that they're not giving.
Mm-hmm. And even if it wasn't them directly, because there was another security guard involved with it a little bit, maybe they knew someone that did do something or paid someone to do something.
You never know. It's crazy that they would go for 3 different girls, though. That, like, if we're using that theory, what did the other girls have to do with it? Just being innocent bystanders, maybe, wrong place, wrong time?
Maybe innocent bystanders, or I don't know.
Yeah. Because that's like, I guess that would be the easiest way to be like, oh, they ran away. It's like all 3 of them, but like, that's a fucking lot of work.
And maybe with all 3 of them, it's like easier to say maybe it wasn't direct attack to just Rachel.
Yeah. Right.
But then it brings me to the theory that, like, if she is still alive, then why just her?
Why just her too? Yeah, because that would be really weird if she's alive and this was all to get her to go away. Like,
then why is she still here?
Or it's like completely just coincidence that Deborah was a little odd and someone just got away with this. And
which that also could be the case.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, although Deborah's actions were a little weird, and it's like a little weird having that history between Tommy and Deborah, like, there wasn't anything like too out there in your face where it's like, yeah, it was definitely, other than the fact that a couple things were weird, and then Rusty and a couple of the parents thought it was also something to do with Deborah.
Yeah. And it seems like it said that they had 5, they narrowed it down to 5 people of interest. 5. So, like, I feel like they're close to solving it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think they know. They just need solid evidence. Yeah. You know?
And maybe with this, maybe they have, like, a theory, and maybe that's why they're looking at the lakes. Like,
which is, like, is one of those things that we won't know until we know. And,
well, it sounds like this is pretty recent of, like, some of this stuff going on. So hopefully, like, they start to do more investigating with, like, the lakes and stuff of, like, looking at different vehicles, and maybe some stuff will come to the surface. Because it seems like they're still, like, willing to investigate it some.
Yeah, which is awesome. Finally. Took them long enough to be willing to.
Yeah.
But
that's crazy.
Better late
and
than
the
never.
Fact that it took them that long to switch it over from a runaway case to a missing person case is absolutely insane.
It's crazy. It's really fucking crazy.
I hate that so much.
Yeah. Well, any other theories? Thoughts?
That's what I got.
Me too. This is a fucking conundrum of a case.
Yeah. But as always, if you guys have theories, please, 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 please let us know in the comments.
And if not, please let us know about at least the Mandela effect thing.
Oh yeah, the song.
Yeah, let us know, because it's bothering me. And until next time, stay high,
stay safe,
and thank you for watching. Bye.
Yay. Hey guys, let us know what you think down below in the comments, but as always, be respectful and kind, as these are serious cases that have yet to be solved. If you enjoyed the show, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you can know when we drop our next episode.
You fucking bitch, I fucking hate you.
Yeah.